isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdate 210511.8. We've stacked cubes by colour and changed perp uniforms to colours that cause the wearer migraines. To do this, we stress-tested their eyes until the inmates scream. It's pricey, a bit of a violation on their rights, but worth it. Mostly so I can hear gangsters cry over having to wear neon pink with fluorescent yellow dots. Welcome everyone to the Halls of Injustice. Today we have a rather interesting tale to tell, because it concerns somebody we can't name. On this channel, and within the playlist Halls of Injustice, we have twice covered people who are protected for various reasons. The first time we covered it, it was with a man who may have accidentally killed somebody, but then went to the effort of burying her within her suitcase somewhere else. More recently, this second unknown perp edition concerned two minors who murdered an alcoholic, who had allowed them into her home to drink beer with her. This time though, well, this is a little different. This one involves certain crimes that are considered hateful, and by extension crimes that go into the more domestic terrorist area. I will, for the sake of it, be linking the previous two unknown perp videos down below as a pinned comment. By all means, please consider giving them a watch and smashing the like button. So again, I will state this is a tad strange. The perp is unnamed for a good reason, has in fact been found guilty of terrorist and hateful charges. The reason this person is unnamed is because the crimes were committed when he was 13 and 14 years old. One charge 13, the other 10, 14. For the sake of this video, I'm going to call him Joe Doe, because I can't be bothered to think of any other names. Around the age of 13, earlier I guess, the young boy Joe Doe was living with his grandmother, and while attempting to, air quotes, look cool, he fell down an internet rabbit hole of far-right extremism. Not far down that rabbit hole, he found a group called FKD Great Britain, which I thought stood for Favourite Kinda Day, but actually stands for Führerkrieg Division, which is a revolutionary national socialist group. Joe Doe is quite good at what he did though, and it didn't take him long to move up those ranks, and at the age of 14 he led the entire Great Britain wing. He was only answerable to an Estonian-based commander of the global FKD. His responsibilities included recruitment, vetting, and sending threats of expulsion and harm to those that failed to follow orders and act accordingly. For the sake of it, he might have failed at the recruitment aspect, because one of those recruits was an undercover police officer, which we'll get to in a moment. One of the more notable recruits included 17-year-old Paul Dunleavy, who, and in every article, is referenced to be severely autistic, who ended up being sentenced to 5 years for plotting a bombing. Paul Dunleavy and others were recruited via encrypted wire chats, which enabled Joe Doe to then interview the applicant virtually. Because he had recruited a police officer, that police officer was able to get into contact with other members, which inevitably led to them arranging things, getting details, and then raiding his grandmother's cottage, which they only did because during conversations he alluded to the fact he might have been building a weapon. When they raided the property, there was no device. They found a computer and a mobile phone which was packed with far-right material and proof that he was the leader of the UK FKD. They also found a Nazi flag, extremist codes 14 and 88, which are codes for Heil Hitler, which for those who don't know is a rather lame alphabet code. This was when he was arrested, and he then said to them he wasn't trying to be homophobic or anti-Semitic. No, he was just trying to look cool, which is why when they went through his internet history he was championing Anders Breivik as a living saint. All of which on the face of it just looks like a teenager trying to act like an edgy boy, doesn't it? With the information they had got from his computer and his phone, they were then able to arrest other people, which included Paul Dunleavy and another called Luke Hunter. Other evidence obtained included sourced far-right manifestos, which would then allow him to vet recruits, including documents called Natural Born Killers 2000, which urged readers to maim people and cause mass terror. Other, and I'm going to air quote this, terrorist documents that were recovered included the Big Book of Mischief, the Terrorist Handbook, Homemade Molotov Cocktail, and other instruction manuals for killing people with knives and hand-to-hand combat. He had been running this operation for about a month. He had vetted 5 people before the police had managed to nab him. Naomi Parsons was the prosecutor in this, and she said, Count 1 concerns an image of an atom bomb mushroom cloud explosion over the Houses of Parliament, above which is written, "Sterilise the cesspit that you call London," which doesn't sound remotely terrorist in the slightest. No one likes London. Hell, even London doesn't like London. But there is a context, of course, in this. Continuing, the FKD GB shield logo, comprising a Union Jack and the Waffen SS insignia upon it, is at the foot of the image. On the 26th of June 2019, Commander suggested a Nuke London poster for FKD-GB. He requested the image from another FKD member, EKSD, I don't know who that is, suggesting a picture of London with lots of non-whites in it. Ah, I see where we're going now. The image was then posted on the FKD Wire chat. There were 28 members of the Wire chat, of around which 6 were active at the time of posting and who expressed comments of approval. One of the youth's rather ingenious ways of spreading terror, I guess, did in fact include Anders Breivik, by simply spray painting # Breivik did nothing wrong. And on the 22nd of July 2019, Happy St. Breivik Day. The majority of the charges faced by Joe Doe fall under the UK Terrorism Act, and because he pled guilty to all 12 charges, 2 of which were for dissemination of terrorist documents, 10 for possession of terrorist material, he was, understandably, found guilty. Now, the sentence was delayed, so I held on to this for a little while. But there is a sentence, and it is worth going through. This young man, Joe Doe, won't be going to an ISO cube or a juvie cube for that matter. He instead receives a 2-year youth rehabilitation order. Youth rehabilitation orders do vary. The longest they ever go up to is 3 years. On the screen are parameters you would normally have with a youth rehabilitation order, whether that be requirements, plans, and what happens if you fail to abide it. Before sentencing, he had in fact been banned from computers without police permission, and a complete ban on private browsers along with any and all cloud access. And the reason for this sentence is because the judge took into account his guilty plea and believed the expression of remorse, along with him believing that this child was susceptible to the influence of others. My view is this is a tricky area to navigate. We have covered on this channel Shamima Begum, who was 15, stole her sister's passport and went off to ISIS in Raqqa. This kid was only a couple years younger, and he was planning to bomb places, and he gets a marginal sentence at best. Yet Shamima Begum does not get to come back to the country. Now, I only mention this because it's a massive false equivalence. She had committed acts. He was running a group that were plotting to commit acts. You cannot compare the two, that's the point. So when it comes to my opinion on sentencing this, I am genuinely stumped. Both articles I'm going to link down below do go into a lot of detail about all the evidence they collected, and it is quite thorough. So I am interested to know what you think about it. Please do let me know in the comments down below. I hope you'll have a fantastic day, and thank you all very much for listening.